Okay, so in this session we are going to learn about the big theta notation. So big theta notation is going to give you the average running time of the given function. So here you have to find out a gn which is equal to f of n at some point. For that point you have to find out something, which is there is this positive constant c1 and c2 and n naught. So there are three values here, c1, c2 and n naught, right? So what is the condition here? There, as you know, there are two constants. So fn is somewhere in the middle of these gn, means we are going to use the gn function two times, and but for both the functions we are going to multiply c1 with the one gn and c2 with the another gn, right? So this c2 into gn, it will be greater than f of n, and this c1 into gn will be less than f of n, right? So is completely depending on these values c1 and c2. So let's say we are having a function f of n is equal to 2n plus 3. So now if we see the condition, the fn should be in the middle, and there should be something called the c2 and c1, and both the sides there should be gn. So we need to fulfill these conditions, right? So for that, if you see these values 2n plus 3, we are going to neglect this constant value 3, and the main value, or you can say the highest rate of growth value, is 2n. So we are going to take this value, and we are going to take one lesser value for c1 because it should be less than f of n. So we are going to take 1 for c1, and if you want something greater than f of n, then the value should be greater than 2, right? Because see, you cannot take much higher values because we want it to be bound to this particular function fn, because I have taken the equal sign here. So let's take some values. c1 is for 1, and for c2 I have taken 5, right? Because these are the constant value, so simply numbers are taken which are nearly around the number 2, right? So n is again the same because the highest rate of growth should be with the gn function, right? So c1 is 1 and gn is n, and here c2 is 5 and gn is n. So here you can see gn is having the same value n, right? Because we are using the same function. Okay, so we can write it in the form of theta, theta of, you can say big theta of g of n, and here if we write the value, it will be big theta of n, right? So if we draw the curve should be like the f of n function after some values of n, which is equal to the or greater to the n naught. So f of n curve will be in the middle of c1 into gn and c2 into gn, right? So c1 should be below this curve, and c2 will be having the curve above the f of n, right? So this is what we call the big theta notation.